Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm sharing with you my diary entry for the weeks of March 31st through April 13th. Today is Saturday, April 13th. So no, I didn't vlog anything while I was not around on YouTube for a bit. The conversion at my workplace has finally gone live, and so we've been battling a lot of issues. I've been putting in a lot of hours at work, 10.5-hour days, extra days. And I've just been really exhausted. And so there was no vlogging to be had. My reading has been kind of slow also. So yeah, I'm kind of not in a good place right now in regards to enjoyment of what I've been reading and just general life things that's going on, just stressful things like that. And so yeah, I didn't vlog at all. My reading's been slow, and so I'm just going to kind of wrap you up with what I was able to finish while I have been away, and there'll be a little bit of talk about what I finished. I'll let you know what I am currently reading, and then I do have a Yarnie update for you, and then I think that's it. So let's get started. I finished three things while I was away, and then I DNF'd one. So I guess we'll get the DNF out of the way and start with the most unpleasant stuff first. And so I decided to DNF One by One by Ruth Ware. So I had picked this up because I am participating in the Orilium Magical Readathon. And one of the prompts this year for my profession, which is Master of Elements, this will be the third year that I am studying for that profession, is to read a zodiac recommendation. And when I did a Google search, the only book that sounded remotely down my alley was this book. And if you have been with me for a while, you know I kind of have a rocky relationship with Ruth Ware's work, at least the other two books that I have read, which was The Death of Mrs. Westaway and The Lying Game. I thought, okay, you know what, I'll just give it a shot. It is a mystery. It's a closed circle mystery. And it's about this group of employees from a company who have gone to this kind of chalet in the mountains, and it's snowing there, and they're discussing whether or not to make the company go public or to sell. I borrowed a copy of the book from my library, knowing that I had to read a zodiac recommendation for the readathon, and I got to 30% of this book, and I kept thinking, as I was reading through that first 30%, okay, when's the first death going to happen? Because one of the things that's tooted on the summary is that they one by one start to die. And at 30%, nobody had died yet. And I kept thinking, well, once we get to that first murder, maybe it'll start piquing my interest. Because up until that point where I decided to DNF, there were no murders, nobody died. It was a bunch of drama. So these employees are there, and there's a certain set of employees that want to sell because it'll obviously make them rich, right? But there's another employee that doesn't want to sell and wants to take the company public. And so they're fighting kind of with each other. Emotions are high. This is a story that's told in multiple POV. And I don't really like any of the characters. We also get a POV from two of the people who are actually taking care of the chalet. And nothing was interesting. I didn't enjoy their interactions. None of the characters, like I said, were interesting to me. I couldn't find that thing to latch onto. And I thought, how much longer am I going to make myself read this when I'm really just not enjoying it? And so I decided to let it go. I think 30% was more than enough to give me an idea of what I thought. And it's just not for me. Ruth Ware's work is just not for me. There was too much drama. There was too much just like blah stuff happening. There wasn't anything to hook me. And so I just let it go. That did mean that I need to find another book to fulfill that Zodiac recommendation. I have found another book. I actually found it on a YouTube video from another creator that I watch who was doing Zodiac recommendations videos a couple years ago. And so I've put that one in the lineup instead. So that's where I am with that. DNF'd one book already this month. But let's get to some finishes. So I did finish Deja Dead by Kathy Reichs. This is the first book in the Temperance Brennan series. If you're familiar with the Bones TV show, this is the series that TV show was based on. However, if you have watched that TV show and you decide that you want to read the source material, forget everything you know about the Bones TV show, because this is completely different. The only thing that is the same is the name of our main character, Temperance Brennan, and her profession, which is a forensic anthropologist. The Bones TV show takes place in America. This series takes place in Canada, or at least this one, Temperance, is in Canada. She kind of works alone. She's like the sole forensic anthropologist on this particular case that is being investigated. She does start to interact with people from other departments as well as the police investigators, but you don't have that same camaraderie with the other people in the forensic anthropology department as you do with the TV show. And that is kind of a void that I felt throughout the reading of this book. However, I did actually enjoy this book as an individual story. Temperance is very much like your typical like amateur sleuth, even though part of her profession is like providing information to investigators to help them kind of figure out what they're looking for or give them some kind of like a profile or something. You know, she does do things that amateur sleuths do in Cozy Mysteries. She, you know, brings up the things that she thinks needs to be investigated, and if they're not addressed, she goes and investigates it herself. And it obviously gets her into trouble, as it does most other amateur sleuths that we deal with in any other Cozy Mystery series. So she felt very familiar to me in that type of sense, because I have read a lot of Cozy Mysteries over my lifetime. This is a rather thick book. There are a lot of things that happen in here. You get to know, obviously, Temperance and her life and the people that are in her life. In this one, she's a middle-aged woman who is, and this is what I'm not clear about, if she's actually divorced or if she's just separated. But she's one of the two. She has a daughter that's college-aged, so a very different kind of character than the character that we have in the TV show. You know, she's interesting in like her thought processes and things like that. I liked, you know, how she was able to convince people to do things. Like I said, the things that she does definitely gets her into trouble. This is definitely a more grittier type of mystery. The murders are very violent, and because she is a forensic anthropologist, you get those gory details of what the body is like, the state of decomposition, and the nature of the murders are very violent as well. And so this is definitely not for someone who only reads Cozy Mysteries, but if you're somebody that enjoys a grittier mystery and also enjoys Cozy Mysteries like I do, you'll find those like aspects in Temperance here. I thought the case was very interesting. It was very interesting. Like I said, the details were very gory. And I enjoyed how everything kind of came together and things like that. One thing that really bothered me, though, with this was the fact that we are in Canada and a lot of French is used. And not everything that is said is translated for you. So if you don't know French, some of the things that are said you may not understand. And I don't know why they do that. So that kind of irritated me a little bit. I do know like really, really basic French terms. But like, it's basically like I know hello, how are you, what is your name type of phrases, but I don't know much more than that. And so for some of it, I was able to glance over because when Temperance goes and talks to somebody, there are those formalities. Hello, how are you? My name is. But on other things where they're actually asking questions or something is being answered and it's not translated for you, you've got to pick up what was said based on context. And so, yeah, I thought that wasn't very well done. Also, Temperance in this book, she thinks about sex quite a bit and the fact that she's not having any. And so that's like something that I don't need to know. Like, why? Why is that important? I don't understand. But anyway, other than that, the case was really good. I enjoyed kind of just getting to know where the inspiration from the TV show that I watched had come from. And I think it was a good time for me to pick this series up, being so many years after I had watched the TV show. Because if I had tried to read this while I was watching the TV show, I don't know that I would have continued. Because for me, I really enjoyed the TV show. A lot of what I enjoyed about the TV show was the group aspect of investigation and seeing all of those other people who had kind of become her like found family, who started to understand her because Temperance is so quirky in the TV show. Whereas in this one, she's not quirky at all. In fact, she's very serious. And like I said, she's much older than the woman that is Temperance in the TV show. So there's a difference there. But I think because I've read this so many years after I finished the TV show, I'm able to separate the two as two very different things. And I'm able to enjoy this as something separate. So I am going to read the next one. I gave this 3 stars, which is still a good rating. I think a lot of this dragged for me, though, because of the fact that we're just getting to know Temperance and things like that. Kind of slowed this one down. But I'm hoping that now all of that is out of the way and we've kind of got our main players introduced to us and who I think we're going to start seeing more regularly. The next one should go by a bit faster for me. So, yeah, that was Deja Dead. I read this for March Mystery Madness. This was also my Janelle selection because Janelle did read this and she gave it 4 stars. She enjoyed it a little bit more than I did. But like I said, I have high hopes that the next book in the series will be around the 4-star because part of the reason why I didn't enjoy this one was because all of the introductions was so slow and just the shock of Temperance being so different from the Temperance that I knew from the TV show and that whole like speaking in French and not translating for the reader. But yes, I have high hopes for the second one. So I will be continuing to the next one. And then I think the first book that I finished for Orilium Magical Readathon was No Ghouls Allowed, which is the 9th book in the Ghost Hunter Mystery series by Victoria Laurie. This is a reread for me. I'm reading it for the Orilium Magical Readathon prompt of read something with a light source on the cover. And so this, she's wearing, she is holding a flashlight. And so that is a light source on the cover. I had fully intended on reading this for March Mystery Madness because this is the 9th book in a series. And as you know, our theme for March Mystery Madness was to the 9s. But in this one, we're following our team, MJ, who's a psychic medium, Heath, who's also a psychic medium, and Gilly, who's MJ's best friend. They end up going back to MJ's childhood home because MJ's father is getting remarried. And so it's kind of a story that tells you what MJ's family life was like, what her relationship is like with her dad. We got like Heath's family stuff in the 6th book, I think. And so now we're getting MJ's. And by default, we're also getting Gilly's, because there's a lot of scenes where we're seeing what MJ and Gilly's relationship was like when they were kids. We also have very prominent scenes with Gilly's mom. And so we're kind of getting the whole like MJ and Gilly backstory and things like that in this one, as well as the fact that, you know, MJ has kind of a rocky relationship with her father. And so anyway, MJ's father is getting married. His wife has purchased this beautiful plantation home, very close to where MJ's childhood home is. And she's having it remodeled. But some weird things are happening at the location of the plantation house. So MJ offers to look into it for her dad's fiance. And so I really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it a 4.5. It definitely retained its rating from when I read it 9 years ago, which was exciting. I've been finding that with my reread of this, most of my ratings on this series have remained the same, if not improved, from when I read them 10 or 9 years ago. And so that makes me really happy, because I still consider the series one of my favorite series. And I've listened to most of this again on audiobook. It's my first time listening to it. When I read through this series the first time, I read through them from paperback, borrowed from my library. Now I own them all. I also own the audiobooks. Really, really enjoyable. So 4.5 stars. This one, I think for me, it pulled at my heartstrings a little bit more, because MJ's relationship with her dad is very kind of similar to my relationship with my own father. Especially, you know, the fact that MJ's dad is getting remarried here. My dad got remarried over 20 years ago at this point, I think. And I get along great with his wife. But, you know, my dad and I've talked to you about this before. Our relationship has been rocky over the years. And, you know, I think we're at a much better place now. Now that I can feel free to express my feelings to him on things, instead of when I was a kid, you know, not being able to do that. But I think MJ has the same problem with her dad. Her relationship with her dad feels very similar to the relationship I have with my dad. And so that whole like section of the story where they're kind of, you know, working through that, I guess, felt very similar to me. And so, yeah, the story in this one, though, with what's going on at the plantation house, very, very violent, very violent. This one actually hits home for MJ a little bit harder because of what's going on and the things involved. But very interesting investigation, and I really enjoyed it. So like I said, 4.5 stars. The only thing that made this 4.5 instead of a 5 was, again, the whole thing with her relationship with her dad. There were things that were uncovered during the investigation that obviously were not enjoyable to read about. And there was a couple of mentions in here about Gilly eating too much and gaining some weight. And I know I've mentioned this to you in a couple of other previous installments where, you know, Gilly is somebody who stress eats. And in this one, because of the nature of the case, especially with it hitting home so close, he goes and gets some ice cream with extra sprinkles and all toppings. And he orders a second one. And there are just some snide comments made about that I didn't appreciate. But it's kind of been something that I've noticed this read through that I didn't notice in my first read through. And it does bother me. It does bother me the way that those snide comments are made. But you know that MJ and the people that are making it, like Gilly's mom, love him, even though he may be a little fluffy. And so, yeah, those comments are made and they bother me a bit. But you still know that the characters love him. And so, yeah, if those things weren't there, and like the thing that I mentioned about what was uncovered during the case wasn't there, this would have been a 5-star. But, yeah. I'm still enjoying my reread of that. I fully intend on getting to the next one soon, especially because as of right now, that 10th one is the last one in the series. I just saw that the author has just finished writing an 11th book in this series. And I am so excited. So excited. She thinks she's going to have it out at least digitally by the end of the month. And so I am super excited to read another one. She says writing this 11th installment is the spookiest story she's ever written. She can't even write it once the sun goes down. It's that spooky. I am so looking forward to it. So yes, very excited for that one. So the 10th one should be coming up sometime. I am able to get to it soon. It's definitely not one that's on my TBR for the month, but we'll see if I can sneak it in. And then the other thing that I read, the very last thing that I finished, was volume 2 of Imitation. So this is by KyungRan Park. This one's published by Yan Press, rated teen. So this is a story that is an idol kind of romance story. And the tagline for the series is something like, any publicity is good publicity. So we're following this idol here whose name is Maha. And she is part of a group. But she has done a couple of like performances, making herself look like another popular idol. And it's kind of given her a bad rap. So whenever she goes out for like shows and things and she tries to like just be herself, that's not what these companies are looking for. They're looking for her to be a lookalike to this other model. And, you know, what is she going to do, right? She still needs to make a living. And they're trying to make a name for themselves, her and her group. And so she's got this kind of bad rap in the industry. Well, she crosses paths with this guy who's named Rook. And he's part of a boy idol group that's very popular, very successful. And they end up crossing paths. And something happens, which was a complete accident. And that just sets Rook off. And so right after that, like their paths just keep converging. They end up getting hired to do a movie together. And, you know, things happen there that aren't great. And then eventually, I mean, you can see on the cover, right? I don't think it's a spoiler. His feelings about her start to change. And so I really enjoyed the first volume. And I had noticed on Amazon Prime that there was a Korean drama adaptation. And so I decided to watch it this past week because I really needed something to watch. I mean, our normal TV shows were kind of on hiatus. And so I was just like, oh, let me just start this drama. And as we were watching the drama, I'm like, I have another volume of this series. I can read that. Especially because I had an open prompt for the Orilium Magical Readathon for something that'll get you out of a slump. And so I had said in my TBR video that any manga would do. And this is a manhwa. And I really enjoyed this one. It definitely picks up from the first volume and what happened there. It's just really enjoyable. They're pretty cute together. Yeah, there's something that happened in here that was kind of weird. But yeah, I don't know exactly what happened because there's just like a panel with like a shade of pink. And so, yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there, but I figured we're going to find out in volume 3. I enjoyed this one, gave it 4 stars. I finished the drama. The drama was very good. 9.5 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed the drama. It was super cute. It's very different from the manhwa. So just know that going in, it's another kind of like Bones versus the Temperance Brennan series. The drama for Imitation is very different from the manhwa. Things happen very differently. There are a couple of things that are similar, but I feel like a lot of the more difficult situations that Maha and Ryuk have in the manhwa are done in a more light and fluffy way in the drama. And so there's also another storyline in the drama that I haven't seen come up in the manhwa, which kind of makes everything much more light and fluffy. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed the drama. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the manhwa as we get more volumes of it, and we'll definitely be continuing with that one. So that's everything that I have read to date. So currently, I am reading two things. I started, because I DNF'd one by one, I started The Haunted Mansion, Storm and Shade by Claudia Gray. It's kind of why I'm wearing my Haunted Mansion sweater. This one is about a girl who ends up moving to a new town with her family, and in the distance of their new home, there is this creepy mansion that she ends up going to investigate. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm 17% into this book, and not much else has happened other than what I've just said. She moves to this new town. You know, she's making new friends, which is kind of a hard thing for her. Their school has uniforms, and the uniform is like purple and lime plaid or something. It's kind of funky. But she also has a boyfriend who still lives where they used to live. And it's far enough away where his parents don't want him driving to where she is during the school week. And so, yeah, it's just kind of her trying to figure out, you know, her new life. And she has gone into this haunted mansion, which she doesn't know is haunted at this time anyway. Just some weird things have started to happen to her in the last like couple chapters. It's kind of dragging for me, if I'm honest. I am just waiting for all of that haunted mansion stuff to come in. When she goes into the haunted mansion for the first time, you definitely get those bits and pieces, like the description of how the wallpaper looks and that it's purple and it has all those designs on it. And there are other things in the house that are described that you know you can relate to the ride. There just hasn't been a lot more than that, though. So, like, we haven't been introduced to any of the normal players that you'd see in the Haunted Mansion, like like the Hatbox Ghost, or, you know, like the stretching room. Though, there was a mention of a room without windows, so I can presume that that might be a reference to the stretching room. You know, things like that. And so I'm interested to get more into this. I just this morning got released my hold on the audiobook. And so I'm going to start listening to the audiobook and see if that helps me with the tone of the story. Because as of right now, the story is kind of blah for me. And it's making me sad because I was really looking forward to this book. Like I mentioned, Haunted Mansion is one of my favorite rides at the Disney parks. And so I'm hoping for a lot more references to the ride, some classic characters, you know, those like 999 ghosts, there's always room for one more type of phrasing and things like that, maybe show up and things like that. And so, yeah, I'm going to switch over to audiobook for this one. And I'm actually going to take the audiobook that I'm listening to right now and move it into my physical. So during the lunchtime hours, I am listening to Dark Prince, which is the first book in the Dark series by Christine Feehan. I am also reading this for the Orilium Magical Readathon. I think I forgot to mention I'm reading Haunted Mansion for Orilium as my color wheel pick. Dark Prince is for book that was blurbed by your last 5-star read, I think, something like that. Christine Feehan is a paranormal romance writer. This is the first book in her kind of like Carpathian series. So Carpathians is a race of creatures who are very similar to vampires. They drink blood. They're sensitive to sunlight. But to turn into a vampire in this world is something negative. It means that you haven't found your life's mate and you've kind of got no other choice but to turn vampire, go crazy, and be violent and things like that. And so in this story, we meet Mikhail, who is a leader of a Carpathian group, and he hasn't found his life mate, and he's almost at the verge of going crazy and turning vampire, and he is kind of making the decision to walk into the sunlight. And I think anybody who's familiar with vampires knows what that kind of means. And so right as he's contemplating this, I don't know how to explain this. Like, here's a voice in his mind, and it is of a woman who's able to speak to him telepathically. And this woman has psychic abilities, and she has helped the police track down serial killers with her ability. And so she's kind of just hiding out, trying to be alone, because she's very sensitive. If she's not like alone, she can't like push everybody's thoughts and feelings out, and it can be overwhelming for her. So she's kind of hiding out after her last case, and she touches minds with Mikhail, and they end up having an insta-love. I guess I'll just say that. There's insta-love here. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. There's also something that happened where somebody from Mikhail's clan has been murdered because there is a group of people out there who want to get rid of the Carpathian race. And Carpathians are pretty rare in today's day and age, like a full Carpathian, just because how their race like is and how they're able to have children or not have children, and the rules that go along with that. It's been very difficult for the Carpathian race to survive. And so there's kind of all of this stuff going on with that, and the people who are trying to make the Carpathians go extinct, and then something happens to one of his clan members. And so I have a feeling that our female character is going to get involved in solving who had killed that member. But at this point, it's pretty much mostly Mikhail and this woman's insta relationship. And not too interesting to me, especially when I'm like, listening. Lots of sexy times in the beginning of this book. So I am on chapter, I think 8. I think I'm on chapter 8 or so. And so I'm going to switch to my physical copy of this book because I was able to find it. Switch to the physical copy of that, and I'm going to listen to the Haunted Mansion instead and see if those switches help me with both of my reads, because as of right now, both of them are just kind of blah. That being said, this is the weekend before the manga club meeting. So I am having to read those selections to prep for the meeting that's coming on Thursday. And so I need to take a break from these anyway. So I'll pick up with Haunted Mansion on Monday during my lunch break, but I probably won't get back to Dark Prince until next week, Friday. So after the manga club meeting. So yeah, I'm kind of glad to have the break, especially because I was feeling kind of slow. Like my books were slowing me down and I wasn't really enjoying them. And so I'm hoping that, with the manga that I'm reading for Manga Club, it'll kind of help pick up my emotions a little bit and I'll be able to enjoy and then go back to these stories. So yeah, that's kind of everything that I am reading and have read for the moment. So I guess it's time for another Yarnie update. So I did pretty much monogamously work on one project. However, I did work just a little bit on another project during the last couple weeks. And so let me start with that one first. I think I have a new project bag. I don't think I shared this bag with you before, but this is a new project bag. I picked up this fabric from Spoonflower, and my mom made me this bag, and I'm going to be using it for my anime sock club projects from Hawari Bazaar. And so I had a bunch of meetings over the last couple weeks, and a lot of them I actually had to like pay attention for. So there was one day that I had a meeting where I didn't have to pay a lot of attention to, like, it was mostly like informational and not a lot of procedure type things. And so I could just like sit back and knit a little bit. And so I did start my second sock of my Haikyu Socks. So this is the Haikyu Socks. Just a plain 1x1 rib so far. I've got like 6 rows of 1x1 rib. If you need a refresher, it's eventually going to look like this. So 1x1 rib, 3x1 broken rib. This is the Haikyu Anime Sock Club yarn from Hawari Bazaar. And so, yeah, this is my first sock. And so, yeah, I was able to cast on my second sock and do a little bit, but that's not very much, right? So let me move my marker so that I can track my progress. And again, I'm using the cat stitch marker because cats are pretty prominent in Haikyu. And so, yes, 9-inch circular needle. I'll eventually finish this one. We just got notice from Crunchyroll that they're going to be showing that movie in theaters sometime soon. So I'm hoping to have that second sock finished before the movie comes out. I think it's at the end of May, so I have plenty of time. And so those are my Haikyu socks. And then I have my mom's harvest. And this is what I've been putting the most work on over the last couple weeks because it's a lot of mindless knitting, right? So I am almost done with the body. So this is what it looks like so far. It's a little bit difficult because this is a 3X sweater, so there's a lot of fabric. But these are the front panels. And then I was here the last time I talked to you about this project, and now I have put in this much. So for reference, I am on the bottom portion of the body, and so I'm just doing the bottom hem and I've got about 1 more inch of this garter to go before I will be binding off the body and then putting the sleeves back on the needles. So the sleeves will be gray, this color. I'm pretty sure I have enough to make the sleeve gray, and then the bottom portion of the sleeve will be this color. Because I think at the bottom of the sleeves there will be this garter garter section. So yeah, this is kind of what I've been working on because, like I said, it's lots of, back and forth. And at this point, it's just knitting because every row is knitting. Very happy with how this is looking so far. And so, yeah. That's pretty much all that I worked on over the last couple weeks. I didn't intend to be monogamous because, my daughter's Pure Fuzz is, also knitting round and round. But I kind of wanted to get this done for my mom's birthday. And my mom's birthday is on the 21st. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get this done by then. Especially because things at work did not go as planned. And I've been putting in a lot of hours there, and I'm just exhausted. But I'll hopefully have it done for her by the end of the month. We will see. But yes, I'm very happy with this progress. I don't know if she's even going to be able to wear it this year because it has been getting warmer. But I don't know. The weather can't seem to decide what it wants to do. It was 89 degrees earlier this week, and today it's 59. And so I don't know what's going on, but she seems to like how it is so far. I told her where I was last night, and she's very happy with it. So yeah, I'm hoping to have this one finished soon. I definitely have a lot of plans going on in my head about other projects that I want to work on, other projects that I want to cast on, and just looking at yarns in my stash and getting inspired, which is nice, right? I just don't have time to do it, which is not nice. So yeah, that's all for my Yarnie stuff. Well, not really, because I did acquire 2 things that are Yarnie related, so I guess I'll just talk to you about those right now. I picked up a couple of swivel cords from Lantern Moon. I got these off of Amazon. These are nylon coated stainless steel swivel cords. These are 32-inch ones. So there are 2 swivel cords in here. I have the 24-inch ones, and I used them for the first time on my daughter's Pure Fuzz, the Fulgur, the one that I'm working on right now, and I'm really enjoying them. They are very firm cords, and I don't know, the swivel is something interesting. It's definitely a new experience to not have to uncurl my cable when I'm working in the round and things like that, and it just makes it so much more enjoyable and much easier, I think, for me. So I got the 32-inch because I prefer a 32-inch for sweaters that I work on for myself, because obviously I have more stitches on, and a 24-inch cable would never hold all of the stitches that I need for a sweater of my size. So I got the 32-inch ones, and I'm looking forward to using these for myself. So I got some of those. And then I had heard the Bakery Bears talk about this brand of needle on not the most recent podcast, but I think it was the podcast before. And those are collage needles. So these are square needles. They had said that this has a coating on it that makes it not so slippy as a metal needle. I decided to try the 2.25 millimeter 9-inch circular. So you can kind of see that there is a bend in the needle of the 9-inch. Which kind of worries me with the way that I hold my 9-inch circular. But I definitely wanted to give it a try before I went and purchased a regular pair. They do have interchangeables, but it seems like it's only available in a set. And I don't want to go in on a set before I know how I like the needles. And the only other style they had was the fixed. And so I thought, you know what, I've been enjoying doing the 9-inch circulars on more plain type socks. For me, it seems to go a lot faster if I'm doing just a 1x1, not a 1x1, like a 3x1 broken rib, or just a plain sock, which are not ones that I do often, but I've been doing more recently. And so I thought, let me just try these. So I got these, and I'm excited to see what I think. And so, yeah, if you have experience with collage needles, let me know. Again, I got this one on Amazon. And so I'm excited to try that one out. And it says every purchase supports inclusive employment opportunities for people with disabilities. So I think they donate. So it says Needles with a Story. For over 40 years, Career Services has helped thousands of people with disabilities find employment. Every needle purchased enables us to continue to provide inclusive training, real work experiences, and employment for those we serve. So, all good things there. These needles, I think, are made in Canada. And so I'm excited to try these out. And so that's pretty much all I've been up to over the last couple weeks. Like I said, I wasn't really inspired to vlog. I've been very tired. I've been working 10.5-hour days. I've been working extra days. I did have to work yesterday, which was supposed to be my day off. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that didn't go right with the big project and yeah, it's causing a lot of issues. So definitely not in a relaxed mode yet. There's still a lot of cleanups, a lot of duplication that needs to be done for when we were in the transition period, and a lot of things that need to be fixed. And so, like I said before, I don't think that we are going to be like in the groove until May. So that's a bit like, I thought that the light was here and it's not. It got pushed farther away again. But, you know, we are progressing. We are progressing. And so we're just rolling with the punches at this point. But I've been very tired. I can only read like one chapter a night before I get too tired to sleep. I have been falling asleep with my Kindle in my hand. I tried to read a volume of manga last night, and I couldn't even get past the first like few pages. And so that's kind of why I didn't talk to you about it today, because there's not much to talk to you about with that, right? So I'm going to give it another go this evening. And yeah, I've just been really tired. I probably could have gotten more done on the harvest sweater if I wasn't so exhausted from working so long during the day. But there were times where even just knitting on the harvest, which is basically mindless knitting, I was too exhausted to do. Like, I just wanted to sit on the couch and do nothing for a couple hours at the end of the day. It was just that extensive, what we were doing. So we'll see what this next coming week is like. I'm hoping it just gets better and better from here on out, but that will remain to be seen. Other than that, like I said, we watched a full Korean drama. We're currently watching Apartment 404, which is a Korean variety show that's on Amazon Prime as well. That one is very interesting. We've watched 3 episodes, I think, and they're all like mystery type settings. So basically this group of people are being sent into these scenarios that are actual things that happened in real life, and they need to figure out what happened with these mysteries. And so it's very interesting, very entertaining. They play games like a regular variety show, and a lot of the faces in the cast for that show I know. So it feels very familiar as well. And so, yeah, we've just been enjoying that. And I don't think there's anything else that I need to share with you that I've done, because my life has pretty much been work over the last couple of weeks. Work, and everything else that I shared with you today. So, yeah. Mom's birthday is next Sunday. So we'll probably get a nice meal. That's usually what she wants. I don't think she knows what she wants yet. But, yeah, that's on the horizon. I don't know what else to say about anything else, because my life has been very boring lately. I hope you've been doing something fun, that you've been enjoying your reads. Let me know what you've been up to over the last couple of weeks. So what have you read? Did you end March with all the reads you wanted to finish by the end of the month? What are you working on for April? Let me know in the comments below. And if nothing else, you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me a yarn ball emoji, I think there's a yarn ball emoji, down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.